In this holy month, those observing in Gaza need no lesson in sacrifice.
Look at the people's blood. This is how we receive the month of Ramadan.
It has fallen on Mothering Sunday, in a city where this mother proclaims that she has defied death, but not for long without international support.
We are tired, I swear. Please feel for us. Please, we want a ceasefire and an end to all this.
The cries for a ceasefire may grow more desperate, but Israel continues its bombardment. Since last October, the number of Palestinians killed has exceeded 31,000, and each day that number increases. Here in Khan Yunis, a family of up to 10 refugees living in tents were killed by Israeli artillery.
According to the Israeli army, they told us this is a safe area. Last night there was an artillery fire that started in the evening and it was close to us, but we were afraid to get out of the tent. Around dawn they fired here. There's nothing left of Ramadan or anything. My father, 3 sisters, a brother and cousins, everyone is gone.
Frustration with Israel is increasing, even among allies. After talking tough about Benjamin Netanyahu, President Biden has been asked to draw his red lines on just what would stop him arming Israel.
I'm never going to leave Israel. The defense of Israel is still critical, so there's no red line. I'm going to cut off all weapons so they don't have the Iron Dome to protect them. They don't have, but there's red lines that if he crosses, and he cannot have 30,000 more Palestinians dead.
But as Gaza is flattened by American weaponry, that has been heard before, along with President Biden's belief that a ceasefire is close. The US have been accused of saying one thing and doing another.
The US has unilaterally supported Israel. They supply 68% of the weapons to Israel. And even 4 months ago, Blinken actually said 4 months ago that far too many Palestinians had been killed, and yet they continue to supply weapons.
If actions speak louder than words, these airdrops may be a mark of failure. Aid launched from the sky like missiles is dangerous and inefficient. Yet this is the only way the US can guarantee that food will enter the Strip, unable to trust that the ally it funds will allow enough food in. The US is now supporting plans to transport aid by sea as Gaza faces famine. But right now, aid on board the Spanish open arms vessel destined for Gaza has not even left Cyprus, as the planned temporary port is yet to be built. Here, the supply of food is shrinking, and aid problems have been compounded by Israel's call for the UN's relief agency UNRWA to be shut. The US, UK and close allies had paused funding after Israel alleged several UNRWA staff were complicit in the October 7 attack. Yet now, Canada and Sweden have resumed their funding. 14 other countries have not.
Simeon Brown reporting. Well, a little earlier, I spoke to Juliet Toomer from UNRWA, the largest UN agency responsible for bringing aid into Gaza, and which, as we heard in Simeon's report, has had its funding frozen by many of its donors. I began by asking her about Sweden and Canada's decision to resume funding.
It's very welcome news. This announcement comes at a critical time as we all watch anxiously what's going to happen over the coming days with regards to the military operation in Rafah in southern Gaza. It will allow us to continue providing humanitarian assistance inside Gaza and also services around the region.
I mean, presumably the problem is it still leaves 14 donor countries, including some of your biggest donors, the US, the EU, Germany, with their contributions frozen. Are you hearing that they also might follow Sweden and Canada or not?
While we have not, we always hope that they would come back, because the lives of millions of people, whether in Gaza or elsewhere in the region, including places like Syria, Jordan, Lebanon, the West Bank, they rely on this funding because they rely on UNRWA.
But what does Sweden and Canada know that the other donor countries don't?
That I don't know, actually. I think you need to ask them. And like I said, there's a humanitarian situation that no one can turn a blind eye to inside the Gaza Strip, also because the talks on reaching a ceasefire, which is very long overdue, have failed, and so there's no time to waste, and UNRWA has got to be supported to continue to deliver humanitarian assistance in Gaza.
And just as you say, give us a little bit more detail about what your people are seeing on the ground.
Everybody's very, very anxious, and I think there is severe restrictions on convoys to reach the north of Gaza. For example, UNRWA has not been able to reach that part of Gaza with food, much needed food assistance, for nearly 6 weeks now. And there should be more. There should be more humanitarian assistance coming in via road, including through UNRWA, because we have the largest footprint on the ground in Gaza, and we know how to do this.
I mean, we're seeing increasingly innovative, some might say desperate ways that some countries are trying to get aid into Gaza. We're seeing the airdrops and, of course, now this ship. What's your assessment of what might happen in the next couple of weeks?
We welcome any effort. However, what we're saying is that there is a more efficient, easier, quicker, cheaper, safer way to bring in that assistance to people. And that is via road. And that is via opening more crossings with Israel. And that is because we need to increase the working hours on the existing opening crossings. And we need to increase the number of trucks that are coming in, including to UNRWA, which is the largest humanitarian agency working in Gaza.
And in terms of putting pressure on Israel, what do you make of the change of tone in some of the language coming from President Biden, say?
We do hope that this pressure will bring in the desperately needed ceasefire that will bring some respite to people, not only in Gaza, but also in Israel and elsewhere in the region.
Juliet Toomer, thank you very much for talking to us today.
Thank you for having me.